Welcome to Straight Talk with your host, Patty Foster.
Coming up next is an interesting interview I got to do with Holocaust survivor Rosa Blum. She talks with us about when she and hundreds of girls were liberated from the concentration camp. Listen to her story. How did you get out of the concentration camp?
It's very difficult to tell you how. In more ways than one. It's first thing I was in camp number 7 and out in Dachau. And by Dachau. And by 4 weeks before the war ended, they had brought me in from the outskirts camps into the main camp inside to Dachau. In Dachau, we were in camps, and I kind of always didn't like to be someplace where I was closed up with a crematorium. And the main office has a crematorium too. I don't think they used it for people. They used it, but they didn't use it for live people, to gas people like they did in Auschwitz. They just had a gas place where they are cremating the people that died there. So they asked us if we want to walk in another camp. And I volunteered again to go to the other camp. And we were by 500 girls that we were walking away from Dachau. And we started walking. And 1 or 2 guards were, very few guards with us. We walked for about 2-3 days. Finally we got very tired, and they put us in to a school. A school emptied up, and they put all the inmates in there. And the guard that was with us ran away. He left us all on our own. Nobody there. But we didn't know no way to go or do. We all stayed in that school for 2 days, waiting for somebody to come and take over, bring us food. But I got hungry, and I was going outside again, starting to pick a little grass and chew the grass and make myself visible. And we started walking. And as we walked in the street, a jeep showed up. I never saw a jeep before, or a policeman. I mean, a soldier. I didn't know. And he spoke English. He looked, camp, camp, camp. So I said, come on, I'll take you to the camp. I took him to the camp. And I took him into the camp. And the girls came out. When they saw a soldier, they started kissing him. His truck got kissed. And he started, I couldn't speak English. Not a word that I understood. But I did understood that he was asking for help. He was on his loudspeaker and hollering, help, help, help. And he was calling for more soldiers to come in. Finally, by 2 hours, 3 hours later, a couple more soldiers came in. I kind of pulled away. I didn't make a big issue out of him. I kind of pulled away. I felt sorry for myself. I was scared. I was facing life on my own. And I didn't know what happened, really what happened. They didn't bring us food the same day, nothing. But the following day they started bringing, the soldiers gave us a couple pieces of chocolate he had. He cleaned up whatever he had, he cleaned up. The girls cleaned them up. And he cleaned up, and whoever came got cleaned up, but every food or anything they had on them. And by a couple of days later, and we were in that school for about a couple of weeks. I don't remember now. It was scary. There they took us in finally they put us on buses and they carried us into a camp. And I was put into camp number 7, another camp, and we stayed there. And they fed us, and I was there for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then a soldier came. He looked at me. He says, "I think I know you, brother." And I looked at him. I said, "What are you talking?" He said, "Do you have a brother, Gedalia Hirsch?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "I met him in Bamberg, Germany. He is in the synagogue there and he's praying." And I didn't ask too much. I should wait at the ram, but instead that I put everything down and I started traveling to Bamberg, Germany. It took me 3 days and 3 nights to get there. Finally, I got to Bamberg, Germany, and I found my brother. And we were reunited. Nobody else survived in my life but my oldest brother, Gedalia Hirsch. He was 8 years older than I was. He survived. And my other brother, he died. I had another brother older than I was. I never saw him again. But I saw him in concentration camp. In Auschwitz, I saw him. And my last word was to him, "If we survive, please come home that we can find each other again." That's the last word was to him. No more, no less. I never saw him again. He got killed in somehow, I do not know, but he lived. I saw him in Auschwitz for a little. He worked in the kitchen, and I'm afraid he worked for the wrong Sonderkommando, because some of the people that work for the wrong Sonderkommando, that work with the crematoriums, not enough that they killed the people, they killed whoever helped out too. And so it was a tremendous, horrible way to explain the monstrosity that went on in that life. There is no words that I can ascribe it to you all that you could understand what went on in there. There's no words. I cannot explain it myself because I was so young. I was 16 years old when I came out of there, 16 in August. And I didn't realize what's happening to myself. And in some ways, I was so young to know what's going on through life. I didn't life itself. He says, whatever's happened, it's happened accidentally. I call it accidentally, or somebody above us that ruled the world. Whoever rules the world ruled me to that time, because I very seldom use his name. My grandmother always told me, say everything and thank him in your own way, but always don't try to use his name, because if you use it too much, you abuse it. And so whoever rules the world has ruled me that time too, and kept me going till now. Thank you for you listening to me.
Thank you very much, Rosa Blum. She and her husband Ossie were two of the founding members of the Dallas Holocaust Museum. To find out more about Rosa, Google Rosa Blum or contact the Dallas Holocaust Museum. Visit my website, pattyfoster.com, pattifoster.com, to listen to more interviews and podcasts. You can find all of these on the media page. Go down to Straight Talk Podcasts and scroll down that page to Special Edition, Interview with Holocaust Survivor Rosa Blum. Thanks for spending some time with me and getting to know my dear Holocaust survivor friend, Rosa Blum. See you again Take care.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk with your host, Patty Foster. Patty is a motivational speaker, writer, musician, and has an amazing testimony of God's faithfulness. For more information, log on to www.pattyfoster.com.